Today we're making a different kind of video where we battle the e-reader, in my case the Kindle, versus
the book, the natural form of literature.
So I'm gonna put in an argument for why I think this is better for reading in general, and then we'll...
And I will defend my honor.
And then we'll compare. So let's see which one's better. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of like easy to think of reasons why this is better. For example, this isn't just like a Kindle, it's every book in existence. It's the ones available at the store, at the Kindle store, and it's also the books that people just scan in as PDFs. So this thing weighs less than most books, and it's every book, and that's great. It has about, I think this one has about 3 gigabytes of storage if you get a different e-reader that's different, and it might even have expandable storage. So you could have like actually hundreds of books in this one thing. And for perspective, since we do a lot of reading on this for the channel, is we use digital books, and those usually come in about half a gig or a bit less, so about 350 megabytes. And if you then convert it from an EPUB to a MOBI or whatever, or you can convert it to a PDF, that file size increases a bit to maybe like 600 megabytes, but that is many, many, many books compared to the amount you can have physically. And the thing with physical books is like you need a bookshelf to store them. And a lot of people like that because of the aesthetic thing. They like owning their books because it feels more personal and it looks nicer. It's more of a, once you've read it, it's kind of more of a decoration. But this is for people who just want to read. And in all honesty, it's better for the act of reading, which is important. Like for example, you can actually zoom in on the font. You can orient this wherever you want. You can read upside down, forwards. Plus you can hold it and it's just like very comfortable. I think the big downside is you can't really collect it in the same way. Like you just have like a list of books and it doesn't feel as personal. Another thing is with physical books, you can totally like annotate it and like use a pen and write all over it. Some people would hate that, they just want their books pristine. But with these, you can do the same thing. There's actually features to highlight things and make notes and write whatever you want. And the great thing is it's like a digital copy, meaning you didn't ruin it forever. You can just get another copy of that book. You can just duplicate it and not have those annotations. So it's kind of like a non-destructive edit. Another big plus is with sharing books. On this channel, we always have to get 2 copies of the same book, and it's a lot easier to do it this way. So we could get the PDF online from like a store or something and bring it into here, or we can actually just get it from the Kindle store and connect it to the same account and just share the book. And I find it a lot easier to share books because you can just email it or something. One thing people might also hate is that it's not very custom. They kind of all look the same. All Kindles look the same and all like Nooks look the same and whatever else you got, but you could customize it out a bit. Like I got blue tape, it's kind of stupid, but and if you want to, you can also mod out your Kindle. Technically, you can jailbreak it, but I don't know much about jailbreaking, but it lets you do some custom stuff on here. I think the greatest thing about the e-reader in general is that it allows you to read PDFs in general on here, which is important because I'm like, for example, I'm like writing a book currently and I save it to a PDF and then I view it on here and read it as I would normally. Why else is Kindle the best? E-readers like this are not harsh on the eyes in any way. It's not like a digital screen that like illuminates at your face. The newer Kindles I think are, but e-readers like this aren't hard on the eyes either, which is very nice. And in fact, I get a bit more visibility out of this than I would a book in some lighting conditions because it's very crisp and you got these high DPI fonts, high resolution. Also, one thing that's always annoying is reading in the dark. You have to put a book light onto the corner of your book, and you still need a book light for something like this. But like a little thing that I tend to do actually is if you have like a clip-on book light, you actually just clip it onto the corner of this thing, and then it won't move. Like every page, you'll be in the same spot, and you don't have that annoying thing where the book light works well for one chapter, but as you move 100 chapters and the weight of the paper goes to the other side of the book, you have to change it. You don't have to do any of that. So generally, the ebook is great for people that want shareable documents. It's more of a document thing, and they don't want to destroy their things, and they want to collect their books and move them wherever they go in a lightweight package. Yeah, this thing's great, and ebooks rule.
Wait, is sentimentality a word?
Make it up.
Okay. My argument here is one of sentimentality and not of practicality. And some people might have an issue with that just because, well, I mean, it's not practical. For my purpose, these things right here represent not just a place for me to find things. Like, I don't want a book and I don't want like a Kindle just to have information on that I can then access. I like these because I feel as though it's a physical manifestation of something that I have accomplished. It's like an accomplishment to me. And the finality of finally closing the book after finishing a journey and finishing a story is important to me in a lot of ways. Although I must specify that I'm not campaigning for and I'm not arguing for new books, because I think that that is a bit of a superfluous waste in a lot of cases. I think used books are the way to go. And this is not only because of it's essentially recycling information and recycling paper, and you're using something that, one, doesn't cost as much money, and two, is not using new paper to make. But also just because books are a form of history. It's like a personal history, and it's just adding more of a used and loved feeling to a book to have it secondhand, or to have someone else have already read it, not just from annotations from them or some kind of like written thing, but because you can physically feel and see the presence of another person on a book. The dog-earing pages, or the way that the book has crumbled in some parts of it. I think it's special, at least for me. And again, that's not a practical stance, that's purely sentimental. I just think that it's a nice feeling. Also, bookstores and the art of physically looking for books in a collective place is something that I think is special, and I've enjoyed over the years in numerous amounts of times. So going through a bookshop and smelling old books it's very aesthetic and it's not purposeful, but it's a nice feeling. Additionally, I mean, I really enjoy being able to interact with text, and I think although you can do that on a Kindle in a lot of ways, it's not the same kind of connection. Like, I can't underline something with my hand and although that's not necessarily important or even really makes sense, it's certainly something that I feel more disconnected from when I can't physically feel it. In a lot of ways, people sometimes can receive books as like gifts, or you give books to people. What I like is having a physical book that I can pass on to people in my life, or someone may give to me. And I find that it's more personal if there is a copy that you have touched and loved over and written on that you can pass on to other people, because it's like a personal gift, you know. It's not a suggestion anymore. It is like passing down inspiration and passing down feelings, and I think that it's incredible. I understand that having like a collection of books seems kind of shallow or unnecessary at a lot of times, to have like the physical things always with you in a room or in a house, but I think that collecting small bits of things that have stuck with you, for example, like I have not kept all of the books I have read, I have not kept every single thing that I have touched and have cared about, but I have kept the pieces and the specific works that have stayed with me for a long time, and I've kept those within my collection, and I will continue to keep them. I think I did a good job. I hope everyone agrees with me, although I realize that I am the majority opinion here on BookTube.